So René, a hearty congratulations on your well-deserved award.
Thank you.
Chatting just now and obviously listening to your speech, and I've known you for some time, it's been quite a journey.
It's been a fascinating journey. We when I first joined Topaz, we were 3 companies and a myriad of different places, and today we are one focused company. We divested the 2 other companies to great owners and got them safely passed over to somebody who could develop the business that they wanted, and then we could focus on actually the ship owning entity, which has been a very interesting journey.
And off camera, we were talking about being in the trenches, and to be honest, the recent times it has been a case of battening down the hatches and getting in the trenches, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been quite challenging actually, not to just jump into the trenches every single day and fight the battles with side by side with your colleagues, and frankly I have done that, but I have every single time sort of had to pull myself out again and say, but hang on, that's not your role. So we were quite adamant on the strategy for the future, and we sort of crafted a quite long-term plan back in 12, 13, and we have been following that. And so even in this downturn, it served us well to sort of have a roadmap of where we wanted to end and what we had to do sometimes to get back on direction. So that helped me jump out of the trenches again.
We're here obviously celebrating your leadership, but truth be told, in any career there are reverses, there are pain points, and perhaps you could reflect and perhaps share with us some of the lessons learned when perhaps it didn't go so smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are many, so probably a catalog of them. I was quite fortunate to be sent out in the world by AP Moller early on, and as I mentioned briefly in the speech, I have been to some very challenging places in Africa and been faced with some quite dire situations. And so to actually be able to keep a cool head and look at the situation sometimes from a different vantage point has served me well in many situations. And I think actually I've applied that even in this company where we have been faced with many different challenges, whether it be operationally or commercially. And actually, as a leader, you sometimes need the ability actually to look down upon yourself and your organization and take that vantage point, because somebody will have to keep the big picture in mind and follow that strategy, however difficult it can be. Even in situations where you think, but there's no real way out of this, it's just despair, then you need to actually ensure that you give that sense of resilience and robustness. To me, hope has never been a strategy, and therefore having the right plan and actually ensuring that everybody understands what that plan is, that assists you to get out of even troubling situations.
It's interesting you mentioned the troubling situations in your speech. You said you've worked in the smoothest of operations and actually some of the most savage.
Yeah, I mean, go to my previous company's fantastic headquarters, or go to our current company's fantastic headquarters in Dubai, and then, thinking back, reflecting on my time when I sat in Mali, in West Africa, a country that you unfortunately, for the love of the country that I have, can hardly travel in today. I've traveled in many of these absolutely fantastic countries that, for whatever reason, has been hit with a lot of misfortune right now, and so to navigate through those bureaucracies at the time, and finding solutions. And I remember being sort of put into a situation at a young age in these countries, and when you called home for sort of guidance, they said, well, we don't know, you figure it out. And I think that was a very learning experience for me, that you need to make up your own mind about a situation. Then you can take guidance from wise people, and in my position I have a board, which is great to take guidance from. But at the time, I was sort of I was sort of the guy on the bridge in these sometimes very difficult countries. You had the guidance, sort of the guidance values of the company that I work for, and that allowed you to get through trouble.
In your speech, you referred to 3 building blocks that inform your leadership.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about that, and I've been discussing it with some of my good colleagues and friends over the years, and sort of what are the guiding beacons that you sort of use as when you have that, then you can probably come out of most situations, and so a sense of situational awareness, a robust judgment, and then a good portion of empathy. So dosed in the right ways. When I reflect on my professional career, I think with those 3 ingredients, I have actually been able to come successfully out of basically most situations. And yeah, so I use that a lot as sort of my guiding principles. I'm not gonna sort of enforce them on others, but for me, it works.
And fast forwarding to the present, we heard today from the opening discussion that those who aren't in survival mode in 2017 and in 2018 may not survive in 2019. Would you agree with that?
I think survival mode, I would probably use a different word. I would probably use a disruption mode, and you can sort of disrupt yourself. I fundamentally believe that a good organization is a learning organization, and so tomorrow we can probably do a little bit better than we did today. And so the way that I look at the current situation is that how we were structured and organized coming into the crisis is not necessarily the way we have to be structured and organized going out of the crisis. And so I think it's a challenge for the companies who believes that let's just wait because tomorrow everything will be fine. It may be better, but for it to be fine, I think you have to change. And I believe that the clients that we are serving is going through their own changes. That's probably one of the biggest changes from other cycles, is that this is a cycle first and foremost, but I also think that it is a structural cycle. The oil and gas majors are being disrupted themselves by renewables, by new energy forms that we all want to live in a greener sort of environment, but it's longer down the road for that to happen. But because they're also being disrupted, we can't just take for granted that this is just a cycle. I believe it is a cycle and a structural change at the same time.
And last one from me, a two-parter, as I'm wont to do. Who, to your mind, exemplifies good leadership inside the maritime industry and outside the maritime industry?
Oh, that's a tough one. So if I look in sort of in the rearview mirror, I have to give that accolade to Mr. Moller. I was fortunate enough to work for the Maersk Group when he was still very much in motion, and so his vision and his ability to actually always change and evolve, I thought it was fantastic. In present day, I may not necessarily single out an individual person, but the group of people who understands and are willing to actually embrace the changes in the industry that is coming. It's not that many. We will all have to be different, as I mentioned just before. So the group of companies who embraces the technological advancements that is coming, the abilities to do more for your clients in the future in a completely different way than just being a vessel owner. Those who are on the forefront of actually spending money wisely on that, those are the people we should follow.
There's no one in wider society you think exemplifies good leadership?
I think in wider society, I think there are probably many people who exemplifies good leadership in general. I am difficult to fascinate even with myself. I think singling out individuals will probably be a little bit difficult for me. But there are many fine leaders in the world, and you can have a lot of wisdom from reading on many of them. But singling one out, I would probably stop short of that.
Well, this evening singularly belongs to you. I want to congratulate you on your award. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.